Remember when the Me Too movement was in full swing? Yeah, a lot of it was over the top, right? And people got carried away. How about Black Lives Matter? That nonsense. Talk about over the top. I feel like we're in a similar kind of a cancel culture moment, but this one I think should be embraced. We are witnessing the dominant media. Well, they have canceled themselves. They were willfully dishonest, totally incompetent at the same time, covering for this man. They were not journalists, they were bodyguards. It is, and now everybody knows it. You knew it, I knew it, but now it's in the ether. It can't be, you can't look the other way. There's no safety anymore. On NBC News, ABC News, CNN, they were all complicit, lying about Joe Biden and, overlooked in all this, lying about Donald Trump. Just think for a moment. After the fire in Hawaii, Joe Biden went there on one of his, whatever this was. You realize there are people with journalism degrees who refuse to write about this man and his complete lack of ability to do even the basics of the job. We talked about it here every night, right? This is like, I don't know, it's like out of the Soviet Union. I am so glad I'm in a free country. They chose to live in their own prison. And boy, are they paying a price now. What is this going to look like going forward? Who helped them lie? Why did they lie? Well, I know one guy, right? Everyone's talking about him. I wonder if it's going to help his book sales. I hope not. His name is Jay Tapper, right? And he is being humiliated, and quite frankly, he deserves it. The way he condescended to Laura Trump, the way he tried to fact-check people with lies. People were telling the truth, and he would jump in and fact-check them in the most obnoxious way. Well, we are a special breed here at Newsmax, and you watching Newsmax. This guy apparently is going around right now saying, I've seen the light, I was wrong, and I should have been more focused early on. This is the guy they chose to moderate the most important debate in history, right? Trump versus Biden, June 24th last year. But he had already committed all of these sins. I mean, looking the other way, whatever you want to call it. I like to say again, you can get more truth on Newsmax in a couple of minutes than you can in years of watching this guy. CNN, MSNBC, and the rest. Here's some proof. Do you remember? Maybe you don't, because it was downplayed, because, well, it's just Joe, it's charming. During the transition, after the election, before he was president, the election was being contested, he had that boot on his leg. He broke his ankle or something like that. We never got the full story until Jake Tapper sat down with him. Yeah, Jake Tapper got the big interview of the transition. So what was up about your injury? How did that happen? He asked Joe Biden.
What happened was I got out of the shower. I got a dog, and anybody who's been around my house knows, little pup dropped a ball in front of me, and for me to grab the ball, and I'm walking through this little alleyway to get to the bedroom, and I had the ball like this, and he ran, and I was joking, running after him to grab his tail, and what happened was that he slid on a throw rug, and I tripped on the rug he slid on. That's what happened.
Oh, man.
Not very exciting story.
It's the most exciting story I've ever heard. What the hell happened in the alley of his house? And did he say he pulled on the dog's tail? A fourth grade child knows not to do that. I'm sorry. Just that one little portion. One more time.
Through this little alleyway to get to the bedroom, and I had the ball like this, and he ran, and I was joking, running after him to grab his tail.
He grabbed the dog's tail. All right. So this is all happening, by the way, when he's nude. He gets out of the bath. He's playing with this dog as if it's for the first time. What? Tripping over rugs? Is this, the Pink Panther? It's insane. And I knew it was insane. Why does everybody have a hang-up in 2020 about saying the truth, about raising questions? Well, Jake Tapper said, oh, man, that's why, wow. Well, I heard that story and I knew something was up. And here are the receipts, December 2020, right here on this program. Week started with that mysterious injury, Joe playing with his dog, and somehow he breaks his foot. Well, he had a very friendly interview on CNN, and Joe finally told the whole story. There's a lot of weirdness in there, of course. Hey, it's Joe Biden. Why wouldn't there be? I've seen pictures of Joe's house. It doesn't look like it has an alleyway. And also, I don't mean to quibble here, but he said little pup. I've seen the dog. It's a great big German Shepherd named Major. This is not a little pup. All right, Joe, something's fishy here. I know you're making it fishier. Yeah, right? I don't know. It's not like all you needed was a pair of eyes and a sense of reality. And believe it or not, these weirdo status conscious, oh my gosh, I must be the chief White House correspondent, whatever. I got to go to that party and sit over there next to that person, or I got to get a deal with Penguin Press Books. I don't know. I don't know what happens to them, because it wasn't just about the dog. It was about a lot of other things, right? A lot of other things we've been talking about for the past 5 years. All right. Now, back to the question that we raised. Who helped him lie? Now, a lot of people, a lot of institutions, but more specifically, it looks like this guy, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, Biden White House doctor, and currently serves as the Biden family doctor. And here he is with Joe Biden. And not only did this man say things that, well, we'll get to it in a second. Joe's fit, everything's great, the brain department, don't worry about it. He also did a little bit of business, it looks like, with the Bidens. Fishy business. Business with the healthcare industry. That's Jim Biden, Joe's younger brother, one of his younger brothers, and that's a hospital in the Midwest that Joe wanted a piece of. He knows nothing about, Jim wanted a piece of. He knows nothing about healthcare, but he was a consultant. And when he hooked up with AmeriCorps, he made sure the business and everybody else knew the following. AmeriCorps was the name of the company. And Jim Biden's a partner, and it lists him as brother and campaign finance chair of former Vice President Joe Biden. All right, these are his credentials, everybody. And what can he do? He has a tremendous network of contacts across healthcare, federal agencies, specifically the Veterans Administration, post-traumatic stress. This is exactly the way it's written. And there's also this. Jim Biden received $200,000 from AmeriCorps on March 1st, 2018. All right, March 1st, 2018. That very same day, Jim Biden wrote a check for $200,000 to his brother, Joe Biden. And here's the check. May we put it up? There we go. To Joseph Biden, $200,000. Now, you know what they said on CNN and elsewhere, social media, Democrats? Well, he wasn't vice president, and that's a loan repayment, just because it says so on the check. Yeah, I call it money laundering, all right? This is how they did business for decades. And look at the House Oversight Committee. They have this. Nobody would listen. We listened. A handful of people over there at Fox News. But it was just blown off. Too tough to tell. They didn't care. I don't know. Trump derangement syndrome? Always a threat to democracy. Back to the doctor. Jim Biden and the doctor. The doctor was kind of in on this deal. He was going to meetings, emailing people at AmeriCorps, which was a shady business that ultimately failed. Biden's brother used his name to promote a hospital chain. White House physician Kevin O'Connor joined a meeting with Jim Biden and the president of a hospital being acquired by AmeriCorps. How about that, huh? What the hell? And he was in email contact with all these guys. How much money did he get? Dr. O'Connor, let's look at his credentials. This is the personal physician of Joe Biden, who just told us about the cancer diagnosis. New York Institute of Technology, the osteopathic division, 22 years in the Army, Biden's physician since 2009. Let's see, what else do we have here? And his most famous kind of diagnosis, Joe Biden, fit for duty. No, and anybody can see it, anybody. Now, this is not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be transparent. And that's been a thing for a long time. Who loves Ronald Reagan? Ronald Reagan, he was great. Does anybody remember? He had a couple of health hiccups while he was in the White House. In fact, I think I was home sick from school one day, and all of a sudden Peter Jennings came on my TV.
We interrupt our regular program schedule to bring you a special report from ABC News. Here is Peter Jennings.
Good afternoon. We're going to have news of the president's health this afternoon. We have been waiting since Saturday to see whether the polyp or the growth, which was removed with his colon on Saturday, is benign or malignant. President spokesman Larry Speaks is now at the briefing room at Bethesda Naval Hospital.
Dr. Dale Oler, head of surgery at Bethesda Naval Hospital and the chief of the president's surgery team, and Dr. Stephen Rosenberg, chief of surgery at the National Cancer Institute at the National Institute of Health, who's participated in the president's surgery. Both of the gentlemen have just met with the president and Mrs. Reagan, and they come here to give you the report that they gave to him.
How about that? Live television. Doctors, physicians, the press department, the main anchor. It was a big deal to find out what was going on in the president's colon. What do we get with Joe Biden? A tweet 10 years later? A suspicious tweet? You know, also, President Reagan, the Gipper, he wore it so well. Even when he was sick, he was awesome, okay? Here he is with his, turned out to be a traitorous chief of staff, a guy named Don Regan. And where is he with Nancy at Bethesda Naval Hospital? Yep, right? We got this. We got this. Wow. Okay, that's how it was in the 80s. Now, I understand it wasn't always like this, right? I mean, there were times where the press covered up for the president. For instance, John F. Kennedy. Let's face it, this guy had certain appetites.
Picture of a man on top of the world. 43, U.S. president, pretty wife, lovely daughter. What more could any man wish?
Okay. He liked to do other things, right? He liked to have orgies in the swimming pool. I'm sorry, but he did. It's a fact, all right? He was doing it. By the way, that swimming pool is now the White House briefing room. That's what used to happen in that room. Okay, but everybody kept their mouths shut. But it was a different era, right? Let's see, FDR. FDR was in a wheelchair, right? Yeah, he had polio, and barely anybody knew that.
And if you look carefully, he's holding on to somebody's arm, or he's sitting in a chair. Very few pictures of him in a wheelchair. This was not exactly a conspiracy, but it was a conspiracy of consent between photographers and the White House, something that could never exist today.
I'm sorry, sir, but it did. You're right. FDR, JFK, they pulled it off. It was a totally different era, right? But Joe Biden shows up, and for some reason, the conspiracy, all of it is back. They call us a conspiracy theorist for bringing these issues up. No.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.